Welcome back to our Operation Greatness chapter meeting podcast as part of our year of greatness. Okay, so this coincides, this podcast show, experience extravaganza coincides with our day 3 lesson for my Operation Greatness chapter, which is yours through operationgreatness.com/leader when you are leading your own Operation Greatness chapter among all your friends online, as well as everyone, if you so desire, in your community. So today's lesson is I'm sharing with you an hour and 14-minute presentation. This is one of the best things I've ever done on opening fully to God. Okay, so this is what we're going to go into in a specific way today in this third Operation Greatness podcast as part of your year of greatness. So that presentation is going deep, that hour and 14-minute conversation. That's our lesson for our third day together as part of you leading your own Operation Greatness chapter at operationgreatness.com/leader. And today we're going to talk about a different approach to this. So, for context, your work is opening fully to God. I mean, like the lotus flower that you are, opening fully to that which is the infinite and unlimited, seeking to express itself through you allowing that presence, not blocking it in any way, because, like, how could you be so arrogant or selfish or ignorant to think that you could limit the unlimited? I don't know about you. I call that which is infinite and unlimited and omnipresent, I call that God. And that's what we're going to talk about in this conversation here, our third Operation Greatness podcast and chapter meeting. You could say this is chapter 3 of our year of greatness together. So, in other words, you've seen me talk about this if you saw our first 2 chapter meetings. If you're leading your own Operation Greatness chapter at operationgreatness.com/leader, then you know that, and this is what our lesson today, our hour and 14-minute expose or deep dive into opening fully to God is all about this. And we go deep into this, all the ways of applying this. So if you picture right now a line between 0 and 100, which represents the percentage you are open to God right now, and your work is opening 100% to God, to allowing God to move through you, not obstructing, limiting, blocking, inhibiting that in any way, because that would be limiting the unlimited. And how is that even possible to even comprehend, much less to do through your actions? How could you ever limit the unlimited? How could you restrict God from fulfilling God's work in the world, because you are the expression of that which is, right? How could you even think about holding back that or pushing against that or obstructing that in any way? How is that even possible to conceive or imagine, much less to do, right? So your work is opening fully to God, to receiving God 100% out of 100%. And remember, Jesus Christ is the example of what 100% open to God is, how that looks, how that feels. You have that example in your awareness. And remember the miracles that Jesus performed, and Jesus saying very explicitly, all these things I have done, you will do yourself, and so much more, because that's your work, is opening fully to God. And then your purpose, remember, everything is this percentage, 0 to 100. Your purpose is extending God into the world, being of greater service to more people, extending love, allowing God to work miracles through the instrument you are, through opening fully to that which is, seeking full expression in your life. I mean, you're really hearing this message, right? Because it is a flow. You have to receive God before you can extend God. You have to, well, they say you have to give before you can receive. And yet, in this case, that which is omnipresent, which means there is nowhere God is not, including within you. So you have to open, like opening the door to receiving God before you can then feel strong, feel good, believe in yourself, feel confident, feel the presence, you could say, of the Holy Spirit, or I just like to say of God, the presence of God within you, feeling that yourself, renewing yourself, recharging yourself, reigniting, re inspiring. Did I say recharging? I don't think I did yet. You have to open fully to God before you can extend God fully into the world. And that means being of greater service to more people, right? So you can see how this is your work, is receiving God 100% out of 100%, and your purpose is extending God 100% out of 100%, no longer limiting that which is from doing God's work through your life, right? So you see how important all of this is? Okay, so the fourth podcast that I did in the last couple weeks was a very strong show, and I don't know if you've seen it yourself or not yet. The podcast host asked me, and I don't remember the exact question that he asked, but it caused me to like pause and turn within to look at my own life and to see how I had limited myself. So it was something along the lines of, where were you limiting yourself? Or what are you working on in being of greater service yourself? And just whatever the words he asked me, it caused me to like pause and think, okay, that's a very important question. And I instantly saw how, actually, I was reminded of how my life work, my theme, you might say, is, and actually that question was in the context of him basically saying, like, how did you become, what was your inspiration for becoming a strong leader and a great coach? And so this was connecting the dots for me when he asked me essentially, like, what was my limitation, or how was I holding back myself in the work that I am here to do? And how would I help other people move past their perceived limitations or roadblocks. So I shared with him, and I want you to answer that question yourself right here before we go any further. In other words, how had, because we don't want to continue to impose or recreate or limit or live a limitation in our lives. So be careful of the language you use, because remember, everything that you utter, that you speak, that you spell with your words is creating or recreating what you are spelling, what you are speaking, what you are causing to live and create and manifest. So be very careful about thinking anything that was a previous limitation you imposed upon yourself. I mean, these words that we are seeing could be its own show. I mean, they're so powerful. So be very alert, mindful, present, aware of the words you are speaking, because you're speaking them into existence, as well as the thoughts you are giving your attention, because that becomes where you are giving your power, which becomes how you are creating your life, which becomes how we are creating our world. So be very mindful of this, what you are creating with your thoughts and your words and your actions, and making sure that they are aligned 100% with your values, with your beliefs about the world you are creating and your role within the world, how you are. You are God's gift to the world. So be very aware of how the words, the thoughts, the actions support what you know is required of you in first receiving God and then extending God, and how aligned that is with your knowing about your divine design, duty, destiny, dharma, why you are here, what you are here to achieve with your life. So so be careful with how you are seeing right now, where you had limited God, where you had created a story about some way that you had to, or you believed you had to, block your expression of the gift you are, of how much and how well you are being of greater service to more people. In other words, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a good example. I got a visual of the woman with whom I was engaged many years ago, and she was a very beautiful woman. She had a big heart, and she also had a limitation, let's just call it that, which she perceived herself as having. There was something about her that the average person could not see. And I thought she had a beautiful body myself. And yet she perceived something about herself as being a physical limitation. And so she almost like had this, like, I don't want to tell personal things about her. And yet, so how do I describe this? Anyway, she felt that there was this thing about her which most people couldn't even detect or anything, and yet she saw it as a story that limited her. And so that was what was the result she created. That's what she manifested by believing this story, kind of like to the effect of being unlovable. No one will ever love me. And how many, I mean, I could describe probably 10 million people, maybe out of 10 million and 200 people, I don't know. Hopefully, it's not that pervasive, who to some level created that story for themselves. And I mean, so it's nothing unique about this person. I just got a visual of this woman in my mind for some reason. And and yet, what about you? I mean, this is all about you. So, like, do you have that story yourself? And be very careful. It's like, don't answer that question. So, let me rephrase the question. Did you have that same story about yourself? Which is to the effect of, I am unlovable. No one could ever love me. I don't deserve happiness. I don't deserve the things I want in life. I'm undeserving of success, happiness, fulfillment, love, peace. Did you have that to some degree? And that would have been like blocking the flow of God in your life. And so think about like the kitchen sink. How open is that sink, where that sink and the amount of water that you are allowing to flow through it represents how much you are opening to God. And you have to receive God before you can extend God. You have to open to love before you can give love. I mean, all of this, I want you to really pause and reflect and see and recognize. And were you blocking love from your life? You could say, I mean, ultimately, this comes down to love from God. And yet, this also carries over into your relationships. Like, I mean, I remember very well the doctor I dated, and she was the woman I consider to have been the love of my life. The most recent ranking of the love of my life, and like the Italian lover was the previous love of my life. And, I mean, I could go back to, other people, shall we say. And yet the doctor was kind of like, I mean, she could almost see it like, why are you blocking our experience of love? And it came down to me feeling like I was undeserving, unworthy of her love. I mean, if I'm honest with myself, so I was taking that faucet and I mean, I don't know, like I got a visual of like, I mean, I don't know, I guess I could use some of my own relatives. Like my dad had an aunt who never married. And I mean, she seemed kind of ornery, sort of like a person of attitude. And she was kind of fun and, but she was like a heavy smoker. And she, I don't know, she never married, she never had children. She sort of lived, I mean, I get a visual of like the kitchen sink, but maybe in someone's whole life, they only allow like one, two, or three drops because they're blocking God. They're not receiving the infinite, unlimited, which the nature of that is love, right? And being of greater service. I don't know what story, these people, I don't mean anyone specifically, what story they tell themselves. Maybe it's just as simple as, I am unlovable, nobody could ever want me, I have nothing to give, I have nothing to offer. I mean, so where are you? And let's stop there. Not are you, where had you done this before, limited God, the infinite and unlimited, from expressing through you by feeling like you're not worthy or unlovable. And that was all based on some story that you told yourself, which was a lie. It was untrue. It was false. So let it go. Let go, let God, right? And notice how it's just as simple as, that was a false belief that I have. I am lovable. I deserve the best things in life. I have so much within me to give. I'm going to let that go. And then instantly, where you had held that block within you, instantly, when you just you shine the light of awareness, which is also the presence of God, onto that block, and instantly you are filled with what? Love, with God. And that old belief, which was only a shadow and or an obstruction of the light. I mean, you know how when you put something in front of light, it casts a shadow, right? And you remove that block by removing that obstruction from the light, and the light is pre-existing and omnipresent, present everywhere. There is nowhere God is not, including and especially within you, my friend, my successful, loving, giving, generous, heart-filled, warm, sweet, kind, caring, beautiful friend that you are, which you are. I mean, take all of this to heart. See this, live this, own this, receive this, acknowledge this about yourself, welcome it, open fully to the beautiful, kind, caring, thoughtful, generous, abundant expression of love, extension of God, which you are. Breathe that in. Feel that. Open to that. Extend that. Receive that. Open your eyes and see this is you. You have this within you. This is what you are here to be. Shine your light as brightly as the sun. Open fully to God, to receiving God before you can extend God. How much lighter are you now? How much more accurately are you seeing yourself? How much more are you loving yourself now? This feels good, right? This is I'm getting chills here. This is so huge. How much more you're receiving God, how much more open you are because you're seeing, wow, you know something? I am okay. I'm special, in fact. I have so much within me to share. I have so much love to give. I have so many ways of being of service to people. I am here to be someone who makes a difference. And I was limiting that by constricting the flow of God. I'm opening to receiving God now. I see how much I matter. I matter a whole lot. I'm not holding back or limiting myself or playing small anymore because you're opening so much more between 0 and 100, opening fully with 100% open to God is your life's work. And that's where you open that faucet all the way and you're not limiting God. And then you go from a faucet that might only be, whatever, an inch wide or diameter, and then 4 inches or whatever it is, 10 inches. And then you go to eventually you're like Niagara Falls and you're not holding back the infinite and unlimited at all. And you're open fully and you're being of greater service to more people. You see how that works? Can you feel it? I mean, how much more are you open and receiving God right now? It's phenomenal, right? It just feels so right because this is you. This is your purpose. It's why you're here. This is your work, and you're doing it right now. You're so much more open than you were even 3 minutes ago, right? And how great does that feel? Because you know that the nature of, well, energy, life, God, love is movement, right? The currency of energy, and we call that money, by the way, because it's here to flow. It's coming into your life and then it's flowing to others and being of greater service. I mean, like, this reminds me of that story about, like, what was that? I don't know. I mean, this is kind of a tangent, but it's sort of important. It's relevant and it is it a very, very important concept. Like, I don't know, let's just make this up. Like, oh, I remember now. It started with, like, a woman who was trading sex for money in a local hotel. And every night, I think this was written, like years ago. So they used the number $50 and like maybe in 1970 or something, whatever it was. But so every night she would pay the innkeeper $50 for her night there that she made from her profession, let's just say. And then the innkeeper took that $50 and he took it down to the local butcher to get his meat. And then the butcher took it over to get eggs to the local farmer. And so, I mean, $150 provided service for, I mean, from the client to this woman. So that was used once. And then to the innkeeper, it was used a second time. And then the butcher, it was used a third time. And then the farmer, it was used a fourth time. And then the farmer took it to, I don't remember where the story went from there, but maybe the banker or the car dealer or whatever, the implement, it was used like, so it created $150 created like $250. And then wherever it went from there. So, in other words, the currency of money is serving everyone who is paid along the way. And this is an example of using cash instead of credit cards because credit cards limit the value of that money because then the bankers, you could say the greedy bankers who just want you to take a loan. And anyway, but the value of cash is that it's like you're flowing God. It's coming to you in the way of cash, and then you're extending its value, and then you're multiplying it. So like $50 becomes $250 and then continues to bless and serve like the flow of God, which your life is destined to be. And this is what you're allowing it to be through this conversation right here. You're opening fully to God, not holding back, not limiting yourself, not creating a story that doesn't serve you and never did and was false and completely ignorant and had only the effect of you holding back that which you are and allowing God to work through you to be of greater service to more people, which is what your life is meant to be. So, how are you hearing this and seeing this and allowing this message to transform you? You're no longer limiting God, right? You're being of greater service. You're putting yourself out there fearlessly, which is how you are extending God, which is what you are here to do. It's your purpose. Your work is receiving God. Your purpose is extending God. You cannot even conceive of limiting the unlimited and holding back love from the world, which is in dire need of more love. And you are the light dispelling the darkness anywhere it still remains. And so you're not holding back or limiting God, because how could you ever even imagine doing that? Because that's impossible. And yet, how much were you doing that before you really heard this, took this message to heart, and now you're putting yourself out there fully? Now you're not limiting the unlimited. Like, for example, now you're going to operationgreatness.com/leader and you're leading your own chapter and you're sharing this message, this inspiration, this gift of God with everyone you are blessed to have connected with you on all your social media, because you're just giving them, you're allowing God to work through you to extend God into their lives where they are no longer holding back or limiting the unlimited themselves. They are, in fact, opening 100% to receiving God. And this is a gift. This was the greatest contribution of your life, the greatest contribution anyone has ever made in the lives of everyone you are blessed to have connected with you as well. So you're leading your own chapter and you're transforming their lives. And this is you receiving God from all of them working through you in leading their own chapters. And then they are going on, like that $50 example, where $50 becomes $250. And everyone, so all of these people are leading their own chapters through you. And that's becoming financial freedom money for you because the nature of God, the currency of life, you might say, is expansion. The nature of the universe is expansion. So the more you are allowing others to open to receiving God and then extending God, that's supporting you. And this is God working through you to bless everyone you are blessed to have connected with you. You see how this is the nature of life, which is expansion, growth, abundance, prosperity, love, happiness, joy, fulfillment, well-being, peace of mind, success, contribution, impact, being of greater service, right? So all of this you are doing, for example, through your own Operation Greatness chapter that you are leading joyfully, appreciatively, with presence, purpose, gratitude, fulfillment through operationgreatness.com/leader. How is this all connecting for you? How much more are you open to receiving that which is infinite and unlimited and meant to be yours? How much more are you flowing this, extending love, extending God, being of greater service? How exactly and specifically and purposefully are you allowing that? Are you extending that? And you're putting yourself out there fearlessly, passionately, purposefully, mindfully, exuberantly, as you are now commanding your destiny, not holding back, not playing small. You are shining your light now fully as brightly as the sun. How are you hearing this message and what actions are you now taking, knowing that you are unlimited? This is so important. I'm going to ask that you first go back to the beginning of this podcast, watch it from the start, pause, reflect, breathe in, see, open more fully than you are even now, and post about it. And in your post, link back to this show. And ideally, through your own Operation Greatness profit partner link through your chapter, because this is how you are leading, inspiring, transforming, and liberating everyone you are blessed to be able to serve among all your online friends, as well as everyone in your local community. So you're doing this through your link, 'cause this is financial freedom money. This is allowing God to work through you completely, unfettered, unlimited. No more blocking that, limiting that, confining that, restricting that. No, you're opening fully, shining as brightly as the sun, receiving God and then extending God, being that beacon of light, hope, inspiration, and love for the world that is your divine design, duty, destiny, dharma. So pause and reflect on all of this and share your thoughts about all of this in the posts that you are sharing from this video through your profit partner link for your greatest way of receiving God and therefore then extending God, being of greater service to everyone you have connected with you, all your friends on all your social media, as well as everyone in your local area. And then take all the posts that you're sharing so generously, so freely from this video, and in your post link back to this video, and ideally with your profit partner link. And take all the posts that you've written, send them in the essay that you're sending me. Send that to me at dan@danclatt.com. So, just one more thing before we go today. When you go to danclatt.com, you see that I charge $5,000 an hour for my coaching because it's almost always handled your deepest block, limitation, obstruction. We're working through that almost always within the first session, and it's worth so much more, like we're expecting that 10 to 100 to 1,000 fold return on your investment, that it's well worth paying $5,000 for that hour of our time. And right here already, we've gone past the half-hour mark, so you've already received more than $2,500 of my time. So I want you to share with me how much has this third show, our third Operation Greatness chapter meeting, been worth to you? Because I know that by hearing this message and extending God fully, opening to the infinite and abundant, you are here to be as God's instrument for miracles in the world. It's well worth more than $2,500 to you. It's already well worth, I mean, this could be worth $2.5 billion to you by you taking this to heart, by you opening all the way to 100% out of 100%. And that is my wish, my blessing, my knowing to you that you are infinite and unlimited. You are here as God's gift to the world, and your work is making that gift as valuable as it is meant to be. And that means 100% open to God, because then you're extending God at, remember, God is infinite and unlimited, and there's no limit to how much good you can do in the world. And this is your purpose. It's your divine design, duty, destiny, dharma. It's your gift. It's your blessing. It's your honor. So open fully to this being the most important thing you have ever heard, the thing that changed everything for you. And now you are extending God fully and being that gift, that shining light in the lives of everyone connected with you. My suggestion is that you're doing this through leading your own Operation Greatness chapter among all your friends and in your community. That's through operationgreatness.com/leader. And yet I want you to do what is in your heart to do. So don't hold that back. Put yourself out there fully, shine your light, because the world needs you dispelling the darkness anywhere it had remained. Take this to heart. Share with me what was most meaningful for you within this and how you are lighting the world, not holding back. You're shining your light as brightly as the sun. You are playing full out. You're hearing those words of Jesus, all these things I have done, you will do yourself. 100% open to God and extending God at the level of 100%. Jesus said, you will do these things and so much more. So live your life as that demonstration of what's possible for everyone, everyone, everyone. Extending God fully. This is your destiny. This is your purpose. This is what you are here now doing. You're the example of what's possible for everyone. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so grateful to be so humbly working with you, connected with you, and part of your monumental transformation. You're moving mountains and transforming the world now. And I'm so touched to have had even just a small role to play in your greatest unfoldment. Thank you. I'm so touched by being in your company because now you're open so fully and you're the light dispelling the darkness as the inspired visionary leader, the example of how much more every one of us is able to be of greater service to that many more people. Thank you. Breathe that in. Breathe that in. I love you. I believe in you. I know that you are here now doing great work or allowing God to move through you to bless the lives of everyone you can touch. And there's no limit to that. And you know that now. And you're moving mountains and transforming the world. Thank you.